5:30 past 6 o'clock. Hi, folks. Russ Cassell here. Glad you're there. Thanks for depending on us, especially when we have mornings like this morning. A breaking news story if you're just waking up. Clock radio just went off. Disaster has struck again in this country. It happened at a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. Some whack job in the theater with a bunch of other whack jobs to see a whack job movie stands up after the previews and apparently wearing a bulletproof vest, starts throwing canisters of what we now believe to be tear gas, and then is armed, depending on the report you look at, with several weapons, and starts randomly firing at people. And 14 people are dead, and one of the dead reportedly a toddler who was shot at point-blank range. All right, Lonzo, if you would kill the music, I want to begin the program this morning with a statement from our company. Last Friday, I made some comments. This was the morning, of course, when the big news was the shooting in Aurora, Colorado. And I made some comments, matter of fact, right at this exact same time last Friday, right after we came on the air. An issue was raised with me on Monday. I didn't quite understand what the objections were and don't totally understand what they are now, but that's neither here nor now. Anyway, back to the company statement. Anybody is welcome to review these statements. They're available on our podcast at newsradioword.com. An objection was raised to them. An apology is offered. If poor language conveyed something that clearly I didn't mean, then that's for others to decide. Most of you won't understand, but let me explain per the company statement. I said the event was a disaster for our country. I went on to say that some whack job was there to see a whack job movie and attacked, I think I said, a theater full of whack jobs. Clearly, if you listen to the podcast, you will know that I was referring to those who sometimes dress up as characters and go to a movie. I guess the word whack job displayed or to somebody else or meant to somebody else a different meaning. This one person thought that I was equating the shooter with the victims of the shooting, and that is absolutely 100% not what I meant. The shooter is a whack job. Now, as many of you know, I'm not a fan of these sorts of movies, and I stand by this 100%. A Hollywood that continues to glorify violence does no service to our country and especially our children. As I have made clear over the last, since last Friday, 4 days, my thoughts and prayers and many of your thoughts and prayers sent to us via text and email certainly go out to them and their loved ones who now have to deal with this horrific event. Never in any way, shape, or form did I mean any disrespect to certainly any of the innocent victims of this terrible event. If poorly chosen words somehow overshadow the true meaning and certainly what I intended about this tragedy, then that's for others to discuss and decide what is meant. Now, that wasn't exactly the way the statement was written, but it's what I prayed about last night. And let me just, this is a statement from Russ Cassell and Russ Cassell alone. I have received, this is the God's truth, in the last few days, I think 4 emails. 3 of them have been from the same person. I have received 2 text messages, both from the same person concerning this. This person's agenda, this person's background is not really important. To be quite honest with you, when I was approached about this, and I had a big decision to make, whether or not I would resign my job and end my career. And that is pretty much what I had decided to do. But then, as most of you know who've listened to this program, at times like this, I rely on prayer. And so I prayed about this last night. And a remarkable thing happened. You can always, put your faith in the rock. And I was reminded of how we're challenged every day. And, of course, we've been warned about being persecuted and people bearing false witness against you. So what do we do in those cases? We can get angry. We can quit. We can walk away. But we are instructed to be like Christ. And I'm reminded of what Christ did when he was on the cross. After going through that horrific event, Christ, of course, set the example when he prayed for those who would persecute him. And so after that moment in prayer last night, I am totally at peace with this. I pray for this person who is raising these objections. I hope this person will be delivered from their hate and from what I think is a poorly misguided agenda, but that's the best I can do, and I forgive this person. We were talking yesterday on this program about a person who was shot yesterday 3 times and was asked, would he like to meet with the shooter in Colorado? And he said, yeah, and I forgive him. And I was inspired by that story, as many as you were who were listening yesterday. So this will be the last comment that I will make on this. Whether or not I continue in this job is yet to be determined. But there it is, and I hope you understand. All right, let's get updated. 6:11. All right, 12 and a half past 6 o'clock. Let me just add one more thing here. Please, folks, do not ask me anything else about this, because that would only accomplish what this one person wants, which is publicity. But so I just respectfully ask you, please don't ask me, because I'm not going to make any further comment about this. As far as the company, they can make whatever statements they wish to make, of course. But I appreciate the opportunity to share with you my heart and the truth of the matter, and which is a great blessing. It was indeed a dark night. 5 and a half past 6 o'clock. Hi, folks. Russ Cassell here. Glad you're there. Thanks for depending on us, especially when we have mornings like this morning. A breaking news story. If you're just waking up, clock radio just went off. Disaster has struck again in this country. It happened at a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. Some whack job in the theater with a bunch of other whack jobs to see a whack job movie stands up after the previews and apparently wearing a bulletproof vest, starts throwing canisters of what we now believe to be tear gas, and then is armed, depending on the report you look at, with several weapons, and starts randomly firing at people. And 14 people are dead, and one of the dead reportedly a toddler who was shot at point-blank range. Here's the very latest from the police chief in Aurora, Colorado. His name is Dan Oates.
As of right now, we have approximately 50 who were hit, and we have 14 dead. Police officers responded and found the gunman in the back of the theater, outside in the parking lot, near a car, in possession of a gas mask and at least a rifle and a handgun. Witnesses tell us that he released some sort of canister. They heard a hissing sound, and that gas emerged. And that we know that the gunman opened fire.
So it's still coming in. This happened 1 a.m., I guess, Central Time, which would be about 3 a.m. our time. And the very latest 14 dead, 50 taken to the hospital. To be honest with you, totally honest, which I always strive to be on this program, I really am surprised in a very odd way that this sort of thing hasn't happened more often. I really am.
Sort of in
I think
an enclosed area like that. What is it? Shooting fish in a barrel or something? I mean, they're with closed, tight quarters. And just a real tragedy. Not that far, Russ, from Littleton, Colorado.
Yeah, after 9/11, there was a lot of speculation. I remember, like it was yesterday, I was talking about it. How long until something else happens? And, of course, many things have happened.
It's just evil.
But, I mean, we had speculated at the time how long it would be before somebody did it at a mall. We talked about that, you find a crowded place or a subway train or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, a movie theater with a huge crowd, and the crazy thing, it's a nutty thing, people dressing up, going to a midnight premiere, and when he stood up right after the previews of the movie, most people thought he was part of the movie.
My Lord.
Now, I mean, just think about that for a second while we get updated at 6:09. Disaster has struck again in this country. It happened at a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. Some whack job in the theater with a bunch of other whack jobs to see a whack job movie stands up after the previews and apparently wearing a bulletproof vest, starts throwing canisters of what we now believe to be tear gas, and then is armed, depending on the report you look at, with several weapons, and starts randomly firing at people. And 14 people are dead, and one of the dead, reportedly a toddler who was shot at point-blank range. Some whack job in the theater with a bunch of other whack jobs to see a whack job movie